Hello there! Today we'll be creating this wasp mech painting. We'll be using pencil, acrylic paint, oil paint and paint pens. So it's a bit of a mixed media project really, so let's get into it. For as long as I can remember, I've been interested in graphic novels and science fiction. They always took me away from the mundane bits of life. I had this idea in my mind about a small boy staring up at a massive mech warrior. I saw a picture of a Harrier jump jet and used some elements from that and mashed it up with a mud wasp. I wanted this work to have more of a graphic, illustrative feel rather than a painting. So I roughly draw up my idea in pencil and then with fine markers. The concepting stage is where you sort out the composition, general shape and work out any problems. I then scan my drawing into Photoshop and refine it. We had this canvas left over that someone had started but not finished. It was the right size, so we gessoed over it, and when it was dry, it was given a quick sand and it was good to go. Next we draw up our wasp mech with pencil. The grid system can be used or it can be drawn up directly. Once the outline has been drawn in, we can shade it to give it some shape. There is no shadow reference, but the light is coming from behind the mech and along the horizon line. This shading will be seen as we'll be putting yellows and oranges over the pencil, so it will work like a glaze. The pencil can be softened with a blending stump or the thumb. I don't think I've created a pencil drawing of this size, so it was quite exciting watching it come together. At this stage, I add little bits of detail to add more interest. Once the drawing is in, we can lay in the underpainting. I squeeze out some medium yellow and orange and cover the entire canvas. The paint is applied with a large artist Taklon brush, and before it is charged with paint, it is dipped into water first. The two colours are mixed on the canvas rather than on the palette. I find this creates a more interesting texture than a flat, consistent coat does. Next we need to render the wasp. All of the shading is in, we just need to reinforce the lights and darks. So any areas of shadow we paint with orange, and for the lighter areas we use yellow. Once the wasp has been rendered to a stage we're happy with, we can define the elements on our wasp. For this we use acrylic paint pens. This step defines the elements and will also give it that illustrative quality I was hoping for. Green and reds are added to certain elements and an alien lettering is applied to the wasp. We can paint the boy next, and he is painted with oil paints. He's quite small and a few colours are used, so this 12-piece oil paint set is perfect. We start with the little budgie and create a light blue. We then paint the hair with a burnt umber. Yellow ochre is then applied over the top with a fine brush. A convincing skin tone can be created with titanium white, a touch of yellow ochre and a touch of vermilion. Any shadow areas can be added with burnt umber and gently blended in. To create our little friend's shirt, I apply some cerulean blue tinted with titanium white. Any folds can be added with white and the edges can be darkened with some phthalo blue. The shorts are a straight phthalo blue. The balloon is laid in with brilliant red and the side in shadow is darkened with phthalo blue and the side is lightened with titanium white. The canvas is turned upside down and the titanium white is laid into the area at the base of the wasp. A 75mm abstract expression brush is used for this. These brushes are fantastic for smoothly applying oil paint. This will draw the viewer's eye to this area. Keep any oil paint out of the foreground as we'll be using acrylic paint for this. Lemon yellow can be added next, followed by yellow deep, then orange, cadmium red and lastly crimson at the top of the canvas. To avoid excess contamination between colours, they can be laid down in bands and the colours can then be blended together to a smooth transition. So too, it is best not to take the colour right up to the wasp, as the brush used is quite large for those tight areas. This can be done after all the bands are in with a small flat brush. Leave the sun free of any colour at this stage and we can render it in the blending stage. A soft Taklon flat is then used to blend the colours together and cut in around the wasp. This is the beauty of oil paint, it just blends so easily. The orange can then be brought into the sun and transitioned into the yellow, so the bottom edge disappears into the background. Many painters struggle with foregrounds as it's easy to overthink it all and feel they need to slavishly put in every detail. In a work like this, the wasp is the focal point, so the detail can just be suggested. So lamp black acrylic is laid over the entire foreground with a wide artist Taklon brush. Yellow ochre is then laid in with horizontal strokes. The colour is centralised under the white background. A dirty green is added and then some stones are suggested with a grey tone. And voila! I just have to name my painting now. I also wrote a little story to accompany the painting and give it a little context through a backstory. Will was clueless about the invasion. He'd come home from school, made a chocolate milk and was hanging out with his beloved budgie Bert. He'd just turned 7 the day before. Bright helium balloons were scattered about and leftover supermarket mud cake was beckoning him into the fridge. Mum wasn't home yet, which was unusual for this time of the day. The weather outside reflected Will's unease, with violent claps of thunder rattling the house every few minutes. The sky's colours were inverted, smoky reds and oranges spanning across the horizon outside. An unearthly hollow buzzing was getting louder and louder, seeming to envelop the house and Will's very brain. To make matters worse, Will couldn't get any connection on his iPad and he was getting restless. Deciding enough was enough, he tied a red balloon to his wrist and picked up Bert. He wasn't going to do this alone. Cautiously, Will slid the back door open, stepping out onto the patio and peering into the acrid orange haze. The smog shifted to reveal a staggering sight. A giant metal wasp-like creature towered over him, slowly swaying from side to side as it crouched on its angular limbs. A deep mellifluous buzzing sound radiating from its very core. Although the fearsome creature loomed over him, something deep within assured Will the creature meant him no harm. He gazed up at the creature and held his dear Bert out in front of him in some effort to introduce his friend to this strange creature. Everyone loved Bert.